I'm an appraiser with a divine eye? In another world CH-125, info. Mihiro Maki, who was caught up in the typical class-based hero summoning, was transported to a cursed forest where magical beasts roamed due to the usual story development of being exiled. However, by making use of his skills, which others deemed useless, he managed to survive. But anyone could see that Mihiro's skills were far beyond the ordinary. That said, since he was transported to his beloved fantasy world, Mihiro decided to embrace this situation and live life as he pleased. This marked the beginning of his adventure. Episode 1, Prologue. Chapter 1, The Supercommon Hero Summoning. Yeah, this is delicious. I'm wandering alone in the forest, munching on a gourd-shaped fruit. Occasionally, I hear unfamiliar howls in the distance and footsteps that shake the ground. But for the most part, I've been living quite safely. All this is thanks to that detestable king. But at this point, it doesn't really matter anymore. After all, it's because of him that I'm able to enjoy this free life in another world. Oh, it looks like there's some delicious fruit over there too. As I walk through the forest, avoiding magical beasts, I find the fruit I'm looking for and take it to my mouth. This is delicious too. I wipe the fruit pulp off my mouth with my thumb and look up at the sky. But really, what on earth is this? I guess it's probably this fruit that's causing it, but I just don't understand. In this world, there exists a concept called status. When I say the word status out loud, information only I can see appears in front of me like a display screen. Status. I utter this word for what feels like the 100th time today and check my own status. Name, Mihiro Maki, 18 years old, male. Profession, appraiser. Appraiser, well that's fine. For someone like me who has devoured light novels, being an appraiser is a tremendously fortunate profession. While heroes or champions might be thrust into battles, as an appraiser, I can live a safe life, being able to identify things I don't know in this world. Well, it's because of this profession that I'm currently stuck in this forest, but that's irrelevant right now. What's important is my profession. I don't know if other people's professions are displayed the same way. I was sent here before I could check, but it's definitely strange. There are skill levels and all, so normally that should be displayed too. I have 2 skills, appraisal and magic consumption halving, and maybe because of that odd display, my appraisal skill is already at its maximum level of 10/10. The magic consumption halving skill doesn't have a level, so I assume it simply halves the consumption, just as it says. And as for my abilities, are these high or low? Well, I can tell my luck is high, but considering that, the others must be low. The ability values are divided into 6 categories: strength, endurance, speed, magic, dexterity, and luck. In my case, strength, endurance, and speed are all at 5, magic and dexterity are at 10, and only luck is abnormally high at 100. What's with that 100? I mean, seriously, 100. No matter how many times I look, it's a number that prompts me to comment. However, having 10 in magic has been very helpful. It seems that using the appraisal skill requires magic, and using it about 5 times reduces my magic by 1. Without the halving of magic consumption, it would have decreased even more, and in the beginning, I didn't understand how it worked, so I was running low on magic. Still, this is the thing. Even though I'm in the forest and I can find food, I should really aim for a place where people are. But it means passing through areas filled with magical beasts. I know where I'm headed. However, for someone like me who has no means of fighting, it will be a life or death situation, so I need to prepare myself. There's no one else in this forest besides me, and every morning I wake up, I wonder what I should do. They said appraisers are a beginner class. But why is this text displayed? I glance back at the profession section. Profession, appraiser, divine eye. Right, it's displayed with divine eye in parentheses. This is definitely strange, right? For the past few days, I've been living while thinking about that repeatedly. Episode 2, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 1. Let's rewind a few days. I was just a normal high school student in Japan, who happened to love reading light novels. My daily routine was simple, reading a light novel in the morning during my commute, continuing through break times, and even while eating lunch. Then, during the last class of the day, suddenly, the entire classroom was enveloped in a bright, white light. And before I knew it, in the blink of an eye, we were transported to an unfamiliar place. Well, This was clearly one of those otherworld transfers you read about in light novels. But seriously, who would have ever thought it could happen in real life? Are you the heroes summoned from another world? A voice called out from the front, where a figure seated on a lavish throne was speaking to us with an air of superiority. Even someone like me, who devoured light novels constantly, couldn't immediately grasp the situation. So, it's no surprise that my classmates, many of whom probably never read such books, were even more confused. Just as I was thinking that, our strong-willed student council president stood up and spoke. "Excuse me, where are we? Who exactly are you?" "Oh, right." It was quite sudden, wasn't it? The man on the throne, presumably the king, spoke. However, it seemed that the explanation would come from the silver-haired man standing beside him. The king casually gestured to the man with his chin. The silver-haired man stepped forward and explained that, as we had guessed, we were indeed summoned to another world. This world, apparently, it was something called a hero summoning, and we were brought here because summoned heroes naturally attract high-level professions, which is why the entire class was summoned at once. What are you talking about? The one who stood up next was our math teacher, the only adult among us, and someone who seemed the most shaken by the situation. Please send us back to Japan immediately. These kids still have families, and they're just children." Yeah, that's a fair argument. But in situations like these, things usually go like this: "We are terribly sorry, but returning immediately is quite difficult," the silver-haired man said apologetically. "But does that mean it might be possible to return with time? Could it really be that easy?" "So, what do we need to do to return to Japan?" Some of the students, those who were familiar with light novels or games, were starting to regain their composure. By now, many were probably already predicting what would happen next and considering their options. "We did not summon you here without reason. We called upon you to help us. This kingdom, Shridden, needs your aid." From there, the silver-haired man calmly began to explain the situation in the kingdom of Shridden and what was expected of us. Frankly, I didn't care much about their problems, but the fact that this world had a status system and we could immediately check it was incredibly useful. If we had to go somewhere special just to view our statuses, it would make things a lot more complicated for us summoned heroes. We were told to check our professions, and everyone started chanting status one after another to confirm theirs. While everyone was announcing their professions aloud, I silently examined not just my profession but every detail of my status. Luck 100? What's up with that? Sure, maybe it's lucky I got summoned to another world, but is this actually going to be useful for anything? As I pondered this, a commotion broke out at the front of the group. "Oh, you truly are the hero." It seemed the hero had been discovered. I looked up and directed my gaze toward the source of the excitement. It was none other than the student council president who had first spoken up. "May I ask your name?" Manuki Koya." Manuki Koya, is it? Indeed, you have the face of a true hero." Cheers rose from the knights standing around, and even the student council president seemed a bit flattered by the praise. Soon, the other students' professions were revealed as well. The vice president was a sage, the kendo club member was a sword saint, and the track and field athlete was a fist king. These professions were the most celebrated, with the hero included. Apparently, these four were called special classes, marking them as extraordinary professions. Aside from these, there were advanced, intermediate, and lower professions, and then the lowest, beginner professions. It seemed that most of the other students had advanced professions, and even the lowest were intermediate, causing an uproar in the hall. Excuse me. Thinking that my own profession, appraiser, divine eye, might also be something special, I raised my hand. "Oh, we hadn't heard from you yet." "So, what is your profession?" "Well, my profession is appraiser, and after that, there's Eye Appraiser, you say? Huh? That's a surprising reaction." The king gasped in shock, and after a few seconds of silence, the room suddenly erupted in laughter. What's going on?" While I stood there confused, the king raised his hand, and the laughter abruptly stopped. Then, the silver-haired man spoke instead of the king. "Your profession, appraiser, is a beginner-level profession. One of the lowest ranks." He covered his mouth, trying to stifle his laughter. It stung a bit, but I knew that once I explained the divine eye part, their attitudes would change. Actually, after the word appraiser, there's, that's enough. You don't need to say anything more." Normally, A beginner profession wouldn't even be present in this kind of setting. No, but there's more to it. There's a bracket. Someone remove him from here. Wow. Okay, I get it. I won't say anything else. I'll be quiet. With soldiers surrounding me and spears pointed in my direction, I couldn't even explain the divine eye part. I could see my classmates whispering amongst themselves, and it was obvious they were talking badly about me. Well, if I were the only one with a beginner-level profession, I guess I couldn't blame them. At that moment, the disappointment of having expected something special from the appraiser profession hit me hard. Episode 3, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 2. When there are differences in professions, there will naturally be differences in how people are treated. Once everyone's professions were confirmed, the 4 who had special professions and the 26 with advanced or intermediate professions were led out of the hall to the right. However, I, the only one with a beginner profession, was guided to the left. Wait, why is my hero being taken over there by himself? The one who protested on my behalf was the math teacher. Her name was... Please, calm down, Lady Haruka. It's just that there aren't enough rooms on this side. Yes, Haruka Akigase. I remember her easily because her last name has a K. Autumn, but her first name has Haru, spring. If that's the case, then I'll go with him. I can't allow one student to be separated from the rest. No, Lady Haruka, he's being placed in a different room because he's an appraiser. This is definitely suspicious. They're not going to assassinate me, are they? It's okay, Sensei. But, Mahiro, I'm just a beginner profession, so I can't be with everyone else. That's all. He said it himself, and we're running out of time. I'm still not convinced. That's how it is. Akige Sensei is really kind. Although it was quite surprising that her profession turned out to be Quad Mage, an advanced class. She was only caught up in this because the last class happened to be math. However, the other students were giving me cold, pitying looks. They were probably thinking, I don't want to end up like him. There were a few worried glances thrown my way, but I decided to ignore them. If I stayed any longer, I'd probably be dragged away at spear point. And I didn't want to cause any more trouble for Sensei. The room I was taken to was surprisingly ordinary. I thought everyone else was probably relaxing in some luxurious rooms. But when I touched the bed, I immediately took back that thought. It's covered in dust. Just brushing the bed with my hand left my fingers coated in dust. The desk and shelves were just as bad. There was no way I could relax in a place like this. I was about to sigh when, whoa! The same blinding white light that had appeared in the classroom now filled the room, radiating out in a circular pattern. Well, at least it's not an assassination, but this definitely means I'm about to be thrown somewhere dangerous, aren't I? And that brings us to the present. Honestly, I panicked at first. They said the kingdom of Shredden was under threat from magical beasts, and that's why they summoned heroes. So when I heard the eerie howls and felt the ground shake beneath heavy footsteps, I quickly realized I'd been dumped in a forest crawling with magical beasts. Seriously, if they didn't need me, couldn't they have just exiled me to a safe place where I could live peacefully? But still, appraiser, divine eye, is incredibly useful. Is this really a beginner profession? I had imagined appraiser would be a skill where you look at an item, activate the skill, and it tells you its name or condition. And yes, it did have that ability, just as I expected. But there was more to it. Appraise. Edible fruit. When I said those words, my vision immediately displayed the location of edible fruit in the area. Thanks to this, I found some fruit earlier and survived in this forest. I also used dangerous magical beasts to pinpoint their locations and avoid them. I haven't gained any levels yet because I have no way to fight monsters by myself, so I'm still stuck at level 1. Days passed as I pondered what to do. There were no weak magical beasts around here that I could defeat on my own. I wish there was something that could temporarily boost my abilities, like a fruit that increases strength or speed. Maybe I should appraise for it. Appraise, food that boosts abilities. Nothing. Well, I guess it wouldn't be that easy. Appraise, food that temporarily boosts abilities. I tweaked the wording a bit. Not that it would actually show up. Wait, what? No way. The guide appeared. So there is something that temporarily boosts abilities. Why didn't I think of this sooner? If I can boost my abilities, I could fight or at least run away. I followed the guide, carefully avoiding magical beasts along the way. 2 kilometers. 1 kilometer, 500 meters, 200 meters, and finally, I arrived. Whoa. This is food that temporarily boosts abilities. Hanging from a large tree were numerous, large fruits. Episode 4, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 3. Thanks to my appraisal skill, I'm able to gauge the strength of the magical beasts around me. Honestly, even with an ability boost, there's no way I could defeat these creatures. Their levels were absurd, most were around level 50 or 60, far beyond what I could handle. Their individual stats were often in the 3 digits, with some nearing 4 digits. Yeah, the best strategy is definitely to boost my speed and just run away. There were 5 types of fruit, each boosting a different ability. The red, apple-like fruit increases strength. The green, muscat-like fruit increases endurance. The purple, grape-like fruit increases speed. The yellow, banana-like fruit increases magic. The orange, mandarin-like fruit increases dexterity. There wasn't any fruit that boosted luck, but with a base value of 100, I figured I didn't really need to improve it. Though, to be honest, I wasn't sure what luck even affected. Anyway, I picked one of the grape-like fruits to test how much my abilities would increase. This is delicious. Whoa. I almost got too absorbed in the flavor. Focus. After finishing the grapes, I checked my status to see the boost in speed. Oh, wow. It went from 5 to 10. Next, I timed how long the boost would last using my watch. 0.30 seconds. 1 minute. 2 minutes. So after 5 minutes, it reverted to the original value. I decided to see what would happen if I ate more than one at a time. This works with grapes, but if it were an apple or a banana, eating a bunch would be tough. With that in mind, I ate 2 grapes and checked my status again. This time, my speed increased from 5 to 15. I timed it again, and sure enough, the boost still lasted 5 minutes. Feeling grateful that the speed-boosting fruit was grapes, I tried the other fruits as well. The taste was just like their real-world counterparts, sweet and rich, and overall very satisfying. Only magic and dexterity increased from 10 to 20. It wasn't a simple matter of increasing by increments of 5. Based on how magic and dexterity doubled, I thought the fruits might scale with the original stats. That would explain why eating 2 grapes raised my speed from 5 to 15. It seemed to multiply from the base value rather than simply adding a fixed amount. I also found that I could raise multiple stats at once, but the boosts all reverted after 5 minutes. There's still more testing to be done, but for now, I'll assume that all the boosts last for 5 minutes. With that knowledge, I formulated a plan. After eating the fruit, I'd check my boosted stats and make a break for it, using the 5-minute window to escape the forest and reach civilization. It was risky, but there was no other option. In fact, I didn't have any other choices. Once I reach a town, I'm going to use my appraiser, Divine Eye, to live a carefree life in this new world. Having made up my mind, I noticed something strange. There weren't any magical beasts near the large tree. Up until now, I'd been spending my nights trembling in fear inside a cave I'd stumbled upon. But here, it seemed like I might be able to sleep peacefully. I could also keep the grapes nearby in case I needed to make a quick escape. Yawn. I'm getting sleepy. Now that I had a plan and my stomach was full, the lack of danger put me at ease. It seems like the magical beasts are more active at night, so I'll make my move first thing in the morning. For now, I'll just rest and move out tomorrow. ZZZ. Exhaustion must have caught up with me because I drifted off to sleep, leaning against the giant tree. Episode 5, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 4. Episode 5, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 4. And so, the next morning, I decided to carry out my plan. Some might think it's too soon, considering it's only the day after, but I have no idea when the perfect timing would be. There's even a saying that the sooner, the better. So if I can act, I should do so right away. I decided to use my appraisal skill again, just to be sure. Appraisal, human settlement. As expected, the direction hasn't changed. Appraisal, magical beasts. Whoa. There are still lots of indicators pointing toward the human settlement. I stuffed my pockets with grapes and, tucking in my shirt, I also loaded up the inside of my shirt with more grapes. I might hesitate to eat them if they get soaked in sweat, but it's a critical situation, so I'll just ignore that. I crammed as many grapes as I could, then ate a bunch right there on the spot. 1 grape. 5 grapes. 10 grapes. I ate until my stomach was full, then opened up my status. Phew, my speed stat is, whoa, it's up to 100. Since it's at 100, that means I ate 19 grapes. Normally, I could eat a lot more, but strangely enough, these grapes fill me up quickly. I thought there might be a limit on how many I could eat, but right now, every second counts. I turned in the direction of my destination, and, without worrying about anything around me, I took off running. I had to hold down my shirt to keep it from coming untucked. But I was amazed and thrilled by how much faster I was running than usual. Whoa, is this really me? Is this really another world? All I was doing was running, but I never imagined it could be so much fun. If I can reach the settlement and gear up, I'll be able to fight magical beasts. Once I can do that, I'll level up and really enjoy this world even more. All the things that only happened in light novels are now happening right in front of me. I am free. Whoa, oops, that was close. I got too excited and completely forgot about the magical beasts. No, seriously, it's a miracle I dodged that sudden punch. Even a graze from it would have been an instant death for sure. Without looking back, I kept running, focused solely on moving forward. Whenever a magical beast appeared, I sped up even more, dashing right past it. I occasionally glanced at my watch, and when I realized it was time, I ate more grapes while running. My speed increased after eating, but once my speed stat hit 100 and started to drop again, I hurriedly stuffed more grapes into my mouth. I kept this up for about 30 minutes, and then, is that the edge of the forest? Just when my breathing was getting heavy and I felt like I was reaching my limit, I saw a break in the trees. It gave me the last bit of energy I needed to push forward. Without that boost, I might have ended up as prey for the magical beasts waiting for me at the end. I ate as many grapes as I could and accelerated one last time, bursting out of the forest, just in time for a massive dragon to unleash a breath attack. Whoa! The dragon's breath crossed behind me, right after I left the forest. If I had missed even one grape, or let my guard down and stopped running for even a second, I might have been reduced to ashes. Still not looking back, I sprinted down the hill beyond the forest at full speed. I was thrilled. Up until that breath attack, I wanted to shout with excitement. Until that breath attack, I wanted to cry tears of joy. Until that breath attack. Give me back my excitement, you idiot. That was all I could manage to scream at the moment. After leaving the forest, I could no longer hear the howls of magical beasts, nor the earth-shaking sound of their footsteps. And most importantly, the dragon was nowhere to be seen. Finally, I could catch my breath. Now, I'm leaning against a withered tree, the only thing still standing, even though it's dead, on a barren plain at the bottom of the hill. I only had a few grapes left in my pockets. The ones I had stuffed inside my shirt came loose while I was running and all fell out into the forest. According to the guidance, the human settlement is still about 5 kilometers away. After checking for magical beasts, it seems there are none in the area, which is a relief for now. But seriously, what was up with that forest? A dragon showed up at the end, so I'm pretty sure it was really trying to kill me. Maybe it was something like the cursed forest of death or whatever. Well, it doesn't really matter now. I've already made it out of the forest. After catching my breath and standing up, I started walking the remaining 5 kilometers. I thought about eating some grapes and making a sprint for it. But these grapes are my lifeline, so I need to save them. I do plan on eating them at some point, before they spoil. But I'll wait for the right moment. About an hour after I started walking, I finally saw it. Since my appraisal indicated a human settlement, I had expected a small village or maybe just a hamlet near the forest. But, whoa, seriously? That's a huge outer wall. And cannons too. It's totally got a fortress city vibe going on. Episode 6, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 5. Alright, after getting over my surprise, the next thing to do is to get closer and check it out. It's dangerous to just stand out here, and there's no way they'll turn me away without letting me in. But I don't have anything to prove my identity, do I? In these situations, you usually have to show something to prove your identity, or they won't let you in. If you don't have that, you usually have to pay an entrance fee. But I don't even have any money. Looking back, I regret not picking up something in the forest to trade for money. I never thought there'd be such a big city nearby, after all. As I got closer, The outer wall kept getting bigger and bigger. How tall is it? It must be as high as a 5-story building. Naturally, there's a gate under the wall, and on either side of it, there's a soldier-like person holding a spear. Looking closely, I could see soldiers standing on top of the wall too. Are the soldiers below shouting something? Maybe the soldiers up top spotted me. It's better than them suddenly seeing me and shouting, "Who goes there?" But why does it seem like they're so surprised and tense? I wasn't sure if I should keep going, but I had nowhere else to go, so I decided to just go for it. "Hey, he's really coming this way. Why you there? Who are you?" Well, there it is. They ended up shouting, "Who are you?" After all. But how should I answer? Will they believe me if I tell the truth, or will they get suspicious? Better play it safe. My name is Mihirameki. I decided to just introduce myself. But even then, their spears stayed pointed at me. If anything, their gazes grew even sharper as they glared at me with more suspicion. "Where did you come from?" "Where? I came through the forest over there." "The forest? Are you mocking us?" "I'm not mocking anyone. I'm telling the truth." I could see the soldier gripping his spear tighter. Seriously? Why are they so on edge just because I came through the forest? Don't tell me it really is the cursed forest of death or something. While I was thinking that, the gate opened, and a few more soldiers appeared. Of course, they were all holding weapons. "Are you a demon who can disguise yourself as a human?" No. I'm a genuine human, I swear." "Then where exactly did you come from?" The first soldier who questioned me repeated his demand. "I mean, I really did come from the forest, so I didn't know how else to answer." "Should I just take a gamble and tell them I was summoned here?" "If that doesn't work, I'll have no choice but to eat the remaining grapes and run for it." I gulped and was about to speak. "Wait." A woman's voice came from behind the soldiers. The soldiers were clearly surprised as they quickly turned around. They tried to stop the voice's owner, saying it was dangerous. But the woman ignored their attempts to stop her and stepped forward, revealing herself in front of me. And you are?" Apologies for the soldier's rudeness. "I am Alicia Yamato, the ruler of the fortress city of Grand Zawal." "Alicia Yamato, Sama Yamato?" That sounds like a Japanese name. But she has bright blonde hair, a Western face, and looks just like the people of this world. Maybe it's just a coincidence. As I pondered this, for some reason, Yamato smiled and raised her hand. She gave an order to the soldiers. "He is neither a demon nor an enemy. Lower your spears immediately." At Yamato's command, the soldiers quickly lowered their spears. I felt relieved, but how exactly did she determine that I wasn't an enemy? As if she had read my mind, Yamato stepped closer and whispered the reason in my ear. "Mihiro-san, you're the hero summoned from another world, aren't you? How do you know that?" Yamato, still smiling, pulled back and motioned for me to follow her inside. How did she know I was from another world? Does it have something to do with her name? In any case, I had nowhere else to go, so I had no choice but to follow her lead. Without saying a word, I began walking and followed Yamato through the gates of Grand Zawal. Episode 7, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 6. Inside the city walls, a completely different world spread out before me. It was nothing like the forest I'd just come through. Well, I guess that's to be expected. But considering I only saw the royal castle when I was in the kingdom of Shriden, I had no idea what the town looked like outside the castle. I thought Grand Zawal, being a fortress city, would be a dangerous place. But there are many families with children here. I could hear cheerful voices all around. The marketplace was lively, with merchants shouting to attract customers from all directions. Though there were some intimidating people carrying weapons, most of them had smiles on their faces, and few wore stern expressions. As I wandered around, gawking like a total country bumpkin, I suddenly heard Yamato-san chuckling. It made me feel embarrassed and caused me to look down. "Oh, I'm sorry, Mihiro-san. I didn't mean to laugh at you like that." No, it's still embarrassing. "So I just thought you looked really adorable, that's all." That's actually even more embarrassing. I gave a wry smile, and Yamato-san gave a similar one in return. After walking for a while, we came upon a large 2-story mansion. The path from the gate to the entrance was long. I was impressed, thinking this must be some noble's mansion. "This is my home." Oh, I see. You're pretty wealthy, huh? Well, of course. It makes sense since she's the ruler of this place. As the gatekeeper opened the gate, I hesitantly followed Yamato-san inside. I mean, What kind of person just invites a complete stranger from outside into their mansion? Does she, like me, have some special ability that lets her know I'm not an enemy or something? I don't know the reason, but it's beneficial for me. So I decided not to question it. We passed through the entrance and climbed the stairs to the second floor. And I was led into none other than Yamato-san's room. What exactly are you planning to make me do here? I asked, standing frozen in front of the door. Yamato-san smiled and gestured for me to sit in a chair. Don't worry, I'm not planning to devour you or anything. Devour me? Haha, I'm serious. I'm not going to do anything like that. Well, I guess I don't have much choice. After I sat down, Yamato-san let out a small sigh of relief and poured some tea. She placed a teacup on the table before sitting across from me. First, I think I should answer your questions, Mahiro-san. You mean, how you knew I came from another world, right? Exactly. However, Mahiro-san, haven't you already suspected the reason? So, it's just as I thought? Yes, I am a descendant of someone who came from another world. I knew it. The way her last name, Yamato, was written probably used the kanji for Yamato. It wasn't just my imagination that it sounded like a Japanese name. Note, you probably already get it, but the first one is in katakana and the second one is in kanji. Still, can someone really tell that I'm from another world just by hearing my name? Another person from an alternate world like me might be able to recognize it. But Yamato-san was born and raised in this world, after all. Mahiro-san, may I ask you a somewhat personal question? Go ahead. After you were summoned as a hero, were you banished because you were given a lower tier or beginner class? I nodded silently, astonished at how accurately she described my situation. This question implied that Yamato-san's ancestors must have been treated the same way. I thought so. The forest you passed through is actually the Forest of Demons, a place that has turned into a lair for monsters. So it's called the Forest of Demons, not the Cursed Forest of Death. The Cursed Forest of Death? Ah, sorry. Just something from my side of the story. The Forest of Demons is home to monsters with powers beyond what's considered normal. Even the kingdom's national knights are said to be unable to survive there alone. So that's why the soldiers got so tense when I said I came through the forest. Don't just teleport me to a place like that, you annoying king. So, are you saying there might have been other people from another world who experienced the same fate as me? That might be the case. However, I believe only my ancestor and you have managed to make it this far through the Forest of Demons. I see. So, they summoned people without permission, and if they turned out to be useless, they would just send them to the Forest of Demons to cover their tracks. It's frustrating, but I can't help but feel grateful for my luck. Maybe it's because I have a luck stat of 100. Oh, Yamato-san, can I ask you something? If I can answer, go ahead. Finally, I had a chance to meet someone. So I decided to ask about the job I had been wondering about for a long time. My job is an appraiser. The people at the castle told me it's a beginner class. You're right. An appraiser is indeed a beginner class. I understand that. But next to appraiser, it shows divine eye in parentheses. Is that normal? It seems that's not normal at all. Episode 8, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 7. I had expected it, but I didn't think I would see such a surprised expression on Yamato-san's face. So it really is strange, huh? At least, I've never heard of it. I see. By the way, what can an appraiser do? I was suddenly teleported on the day I was summoned, so I haven't been told anything. I wanted to change the subject and gather information about appraisers, but Yamato-san started to think with her hand on her chin. Well, I could probably watch a beautiful woman think all day. It might be better to have someone else, who's also an appraiser, to explain it rather than me. That would be nice, but won't my secret get exposed? I'd like to keep being an otherworlder and the divine eye part a secret, if possible. If they realize this is an unusual ability, there might be some people who would try to exploit it. Even though Yamato-san could be one of them, I find it hard to believe she would do something like that. Don't worry, they are someone I trust. They are currently in the mansion, so I'll call them right away. Currently in the mansion? So one of the retainers must be an appraiser. I watched Yamato-san leave and turned my attention to the furnishings in the room. None of them had extravagant decorations. Most had a calm and soothing atmosphere. Out of curiosity, I used my appraisal skill on a vase that seemed to be for work, and it displayed a value of 300 zens. Oh, I realize I don't know anything about the currency in this world either. As I pondered the priorities of knowledge I needed to acquire, I heard a knock, and Yamato-san returned. Behind her stood a man with soft features wearing glasses. He had the same vivid blonde hair as Yamato-san and looked to be around my age or slightly older. Nice to meet you. I'm the appraiser, Glenn Yamato. I am a Hiramaki. Wait, Yamato? Same last name, same vivid blonde hair, and now he's in the same mansion. Yeah, it's confirmed. Are you siblings? That's right. Yeah. Their smiles are eerily similar. If they're siblings, I can trust them without a doubt. And since their ancestor is also another worlder, there's no need to hide that either. I started to think about how to handle the topic of the appraiser, Divine Eye, with Yamato-san. They're both Yamato, so it must be Alicia-san. Just like Alicia-san, I don't feel any bad vibes from Glenn-san. So I feel like I can share that information. I heard from my sister that you were also teleported to the Forest of Demons, Mahiro-san. I'm really glad you made it this far alive. Ahaha, that's really true. I heard you wanted to know about appraisers. Is that correct? Yes, that's right. But, for some reason, Gwen-san didn't ask about Divine Eye. I glanced at Alicia-san, but she unexpectedly winked at me. Does that mean she's leaving the decision to me? Back then, I had no choice but to inform Alicia-san of this to gain knowledge. But I now realize that Divine Eye is an unusual display. I can choose who to share that with. Considering this, she probably hadn't told her brother Glenn-san either. Before that, Glenn-san, can I ask you something? What is it? I mentioned that it displayed Divine Eye. Just like Alicia-san, he looked surprised with his mouth agape. And then he shifted his gaze from me to Alicia-san. Is it true? It's true. It wasn't information I could just freely share, so I didn't tell you. Sorry. No. It's correct that my sister's judgment was right. But why did you tell me, Mahiro-san? Just like with Alicia-san, I didn't get any bad vibes from you, Glenn-san. When I replied honestly, he looked a bit dumbfounded. I appreciate it, but please be more cautious. I'm sorry about that. After a quick apology, we returned to the main topic. First, about Divine Eye. Sorry, I don't know either. I see. That's okay then. So it really is unknown. Could it be a display unique to other worlders? If that's the case, it might have been frustrating not to be able to confirm it with anyone at the castle. Then, can you tell me about appraisers? Since I've come to this world, I need to learn how to live here. Understood. If I can help, I will. Just as Alicia-san finished brewing the tea again, Glenn-san's appraiser lecture began. Episode 9, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 8. The job of an appraiser, simply put, is to visually see what kind of object is in front of them, and in what condition it is. The appraiser lesson began like that. And honestly, it wasn't all that different from what I knew from reading light novels. You can visually see the name, condition, and quality of objects. Well, in this case, they appear as words. When I was in the Forest of Demons, I was constantly appraising food and magical beasts. For food, I could see the name, whether it was ripe, and its quality. For magical beasts, I could see their name, level, various skills and stats, and sometimes even warnings about individual creatures. It seems that the items displayed change depending on the object being appraised. So perhaps that's what happened when I appraised the vase earlier. To appraise something, you need to have the object in sight. And since appraisers can't fight, it's considered a beginner profession. You have to be looking at it to appraise it? Hey, Glenn-san, I can appraise things without seeing them in front of me. Why do you think that is? I've never heard of anything like that. Mahiro-san, are you really able to appraise things without looking at them? Why yes. It's no exaggeration to say that it's the reason I'm still alive. I survived because the appraisal skill guided me to food, to the locations of magical beasts, and to food that temporarily boosted my abilities. Thinking back on it, if I hadn't had that guidance, I would have been eaten by a magical beast in the Forest of Demons. It's terrifying just thinking about it. It's probably a good thing we were the first ones to find out about this. Right? I wonder why the people who summoned Mahiro-san would go as far as to exile him. Oh, about that, I explained, for the first time, what had happened in the royal castle. The moment they found out I was an appraiser, they dismissed me without even trying to understand anything about my Divine Eye. And as soon as I entered the room, I was teleported and banished to the Forest of Demons. Just to confirm, It was definitely the kingdom of Shridden that summoned you, right? I'm pretty sure. The person who looked like a king said something about Shridden, and the one who seemed like a prime minister also explained the situation of the kingdom. Wait, now that I think about it, where exactly is Grand Zarwal? Is it in Shridden? I answered Alicia-san's question honestly. But now I realized that even though I'd been exiled, there was still a chance this could be within the Shridden territory. I'd prefer to think otherwise, given the way they phrased things earlier. But if that were the case, I might get dragged back if they find out I'm alive. No, this isn't Shridden. You're currently in the kingdom of Adelreed, in a bordered defense city located in a remote part of the kingdom. The kingdom of Adelreed, huh? They won't hand me over, right? Of course not. We're descendants of people from another world ourselves. Alright. Sorry, I guess I just got a little anxious. Meeting other people has been such a relief that suddenly all sorts of worries started flooding in. Now that I think about it, there's no reason for them to turn me in. Plus, as Glenn-san said, their ancestors were from another world, so they wouldn't betray someone from the same origins. Mihiro-san, it's still early. But would you like to rest? We have spare rooms, and as long as you're in Grand Zarwal, we'll take care of you at our mansion. That's right. Mihiro-san, I'm sure I can be of help to you too. This is the first time since coming to this world that I've met people I can truly rely on. Thank you. I'll gladly take you up on your offer. There might still be a lot of things you don't understand, but for now, get some rest. We'll explain everything tomorrow. I'll show you to your room then. Thanks, Glenn-san. I bowed to Alicia-san and left the room, following Glenn-san to a vacant room. The room he took me to was far cleaner and more impressive than the one I had been shown at the royal castle. Even though he said it was an empty room, it had been cleaned and maintained so thoroughly. It was amazing. If you need anything, just ring this bell. Either I or my sister will come to help. Thank you so much for everything, Glenn-san. Mihiro-san, if you don't mind, could you just call me Glenn? And there's no need to use polite speech either. I thought it wouldn't be right to call someone older by just their name. But if it's a request from Glenn-san himself, I guess it's okay. Got it. Then, you can call me Maki. In my world, Maki is my given name. Maki. Yeah, thanks, Maki. With a beaming smile, Glenn waved and left the room. His smile was so bright. Combined with his blonde hair, even as another guy, I almost found myself mesmerized. Alright, time to sleep. Yeah, let's just sleep for today. I took out some grapes from my pocket and placed them in the small, empty dish that had been set on the table. I then lay down on the bed. As I marveled at the soft, fluffy bed I hadn't felt in ages, I fell into a deep sleep in less than a minute, just like the night before. Episode 10, The Royal Castle 1. The day after the hero summoning, the vice president, who had gained the sage profession, was in a complete rage. Why isn't Maki-kun here? Calm down, Yukio-san. How can you expect me to stay calm in a situation like this? The vice president, Yukio Madoka, had been childhood friends with Maki. They had gone through elementary, middle, and high school together. She had wanted to talk to him the day before, but due to receiving the special class profession of sage, she was surrounded by people and couldn't get away. By the time things had settled down, they were assigned different rooms. And the next day, Maki had disappeared. It was only natural for her to be upset. There was an explanation, wasn't there? Mihiro regretted his profession and asked to leave the castle himself. That's a lie. There's no way Maki-kun would say something like that. But no matter how much you shout now, it won't change anything. That's true. But trying to calm Madoka down was the student council president, Kuya. He had obtained the hero profession. Kuya, upon hearing about the situation in the kingdom of Shridden, had his sense of justice ignited. He quickly accepted the reality of being in another world, and his determination to use his power to save Shridden was clear. Besides, Mihiro only had a beginner class profession. It would have been hard for him to keep up with us, don't you think? But as an appraiser, he could have at least stayed in the castle or the city. Mihiro chose not to. There's no point in us debating it now. I know Maki-kun would never make such a choice. Madoka knew Maki well. They often talked about light novels, and Maki would excitedly share their stories with her on their way home. Kuya gladly embraced the situation driven by his sense of justice. But unlike him, Maki would have accepted reality from the beginning and thought of the best solution for the situation. If it were Maki-kun, he would have said something to me before doing anything drastic. And there was something only Madoka knew. Maki always consulted her when making important decisions. It wasn't to seek advice or approval, but for some reason, he always shared his thoughts with her, and in turn, she had always supported him. But the fact remains, he's gone. That's the reality. However, Kuya couldn't possibly understand that. And in his frustration, he raised his voice, trying to reason with her. You're going a bit too far, President-san. What, Kondo? Are you saying you don't believe the Prime Minister's explanation? Either, Yuria-chan. Kondo Yuria had the profession of Fist King, one of the special class jobs. Yuria didn't have any special feelings toward Maki, but she was Madoka's best friend. Seeing her close friend being shouted at, Yuria couldn't just stand by. People can believe what they want, but yelling at Madoka here isn't going to help anything. But she's a sage. Her profession is critical to us. If she keeps sulking over a beginner-class profession like Mihiro's, how can we hope to save the kingdom of Shridden? Are you saying that even though Maki-kun is gone, you don't care at all? Madoka glared at Kuya. But Kuya, caught up in his self-imposed mission, wasn't listening. To make matters worse, another figure with a special class profession appeared behind him. It caused Madoka to grit her teeth. I agree with Kuya. Mitsurugi-kun. So, Arata, you're on his side? If you put it that way, yes. Mitsurugi Arata held the profession of Sword Saint, the last of the special class professions. Now, the group was divided between the hero and Sword Saint on one side, and the Sage and Fist King on the other. The remaining students were left unsure of what to do, lost in the conflict. Just as tension was rising, someone entered with a clap of their hands. Okay, stop fighting, everyone. Sensei Akige's Haruka, the only adult among them, stepped in to mediate. No matter how powerful the 4 special class students were, they were still just kids. None of them dared to speak back to Haruka, who was both a teacher and an adult. I'll talk to Mihiro-kun again. If you're still not convinced, I'll let Yokio-san and Kondo-san join me for the discussion. So, can we stop the arguments for now? Well, if Akige-sensei says so, I have no objections. Me neither. Thank you, Haruka-sensei. Haruka gently patted Madoka's head, who looked like she was about to cry, reassuring her. Haruka, too, was worried about Maki. If it turned out that Shridden had schemed to get rid of him, she would not hesitate to stand against them, even if it meant becoming their enemy. However, not everyone appreciated Haruka's feelings, least of all those on Shridden's side. That woman is getting in the way. 2 weeks after that exchange, Haruka vanished from the castle. Episode 11, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 9. When I woke up, I felt as if my body had finally recovered from fatigue after a long time. Despite the full-speed run I had yesterday, it was surprising that I didn't even have a hint of muscle soreness. I rang the bell on the table, and shortly after, Alicia-san came to see me. Good morning, Mihiro-san. Good morning, Alicia-san. After exchanging greetings, I was guided to the living room by Alicia-san. Glenn was already there, and when he saw me, he waved his hand back at me. It seems like you two have gotten along well. We're already calling each other Glenn and Maki. That's right, Maki. When I said that, for some reason, Alicia-san's walking speed picked up, and she quickly took her seat. I wondered if I had said something that bothered her. But I sat down next to Alicia-san, where the dishes were placed. By the way, are your parents not here? I'd like to greet them since they've been taking care of you two. When I mentioned this before the meal, the two exchanged glances and opened their mouths in concern. Actually, our parents passed away 5 years ago. There was an attack from magical beasts from the Forest of Demons at that time. I see. I'm really sorry. I apologized, thinking I had brought up something unpleasant. But both of them shook their heads and then smiled. It's not something for Mihiro-san to apologize for. It's the truth, and we are proud of our parents who defended Grand Zawal. That's right. That's why we couldn't just leave Maki, who is from the same hometown as our ancestors. I see. Thank you both. Once again. It became a bit somber, but I thoroughly enjoyed my breakfast. It seemed that Alicia-san was the one who cooked, and she was very pleased when I said it was delicious. This is a big mansion, but don't you have any servants? When our parents were alive, we had some, but they left soon after they passed away. What? Doesn't that feel like returning a favor with ingratitude? Well, This is a defensive city. It's always exposed to the danger of magical beasts. And if unskilled people like us are to govern the city, it's understandable they would want to leave. No, I agree with Maki on this point. I won't deny that we're unskilled, but I wish they had at least wanted to support Grand Zawal with us. Seeing Alicia-san look resigned and Glenn looking frustrated, I couldn't help but feel they were already overwhelmed. However, it was also true that I couldn't be of any help. Being a defensive city meant they were likely preventing magical beasts from entering their territory. Grand Zawal must play a role in guarding against the forest of demons. If that's the case, as an appraiser, I would be lacking in capability. After all, I can't fight in the first place. If only I had power. As I muttered that, Glenn opened his mouth as if he remembered something. Right. Maki can appraise even without visualizing it, can't he? That's right. Even with abstract things, I can tell you where they are. Want to give it a try? What do you mean? From what I heard, it seemed that Glenn had hidden a certain item somewhere in the mansion before coming to the living room. If I could find it, he thought I might be able to consider various uses for it. That sounds interesting. Let's try it. When I agreed to the suggestion, Glenn told me the characteristics of the hidden item. It was somewhat triangular in shape, purple in color, with both dark and light areas, and could fit in the palm of my hand when rolled up. I've never used my appraisal skill for something this abstract, so I'm not sure if I'll get any guidance, but I guess I'll add one item to it. Appraisal. Somewhat triangular, purple, with dark and light areas, fits in the palm of my hand, and is somewhere in this mansion. The guidance came up. Can I move? Yeah, it's okay. What did Glenn hide? It's a secret, Ne-san. So Alicia-san didn't know either. For the time being, I stood up from the chair and began to move according to the guidance. I left the living room, went up to the second floor, and walked down the hallway. Wait, is this Alicia-san's room? Glenn, did you sneak into my room? I didn't. Actually, I was lying when I said I hid something. I just mentioned the characteristics of something in my sister's room. In my room? I don't remember having anything like that. Alicia-san, is it okay if I go in? Oh, yeah, it's fine. Not wanting to intrude into a woman's room without permission, I asked, and Alicia-san opened the door for me. As I was invited in, I followed her guidance and walked toward what seemed to be a chest about waist high. That's where I was directed. This is what I'm supposed to check, huh? Please open it. Okay. Hey, Glenn. Could you tell me what it is? Wait, no. Alicia-san, who had her back turned with the door closed, shouted. But it was too late, as I had already opened the bottom drawer of the chest, and inside was, magenta-colored underwear. That's my sister's lucky underwear. Please close it quickly. Mahiro-san. Why yes, Glenn, come over here right now. Well then, see you later, Maki. Mahiro-san, please sit in the chair and wait. Glenn, who was being dragged away by the scruff of his neck, waved goodbye with a smile. With a bang, the door was slammed shut, and I couldn't help but glance at the bottom of the chest. Bam. Don't open it anymore. Why yes, of course. Bam. That was so scary. Episode 12, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 10. Slurp. I was relaxing, sipping the tea that Alicia-san had brought back, a satisfied expression on my face. When I asked about Glenn, Alicia-san insisted it was nothing to worry about. So I decided not to press further. Instead, I suggested that I could help the two of them using my skills. Mahiro-san's appraisal will definitely be useful, but it's best not to spread it around too much. That's certainly true. So, we need to act together with people that I or Glenn can trust here. But, could it be that there's no one? No, there are people, but they are quite busy. Alicia-san sighed as she answered. Well, considering that the servants had left, it was no surprise that there were few trustworthy people around. Then is there anyone who can help me level up? By the way, what level are you, Mahiro-san? My level is 1. I'm sorry, I think I misheard that. Did you just say level 1? Yes. My level is 1, you know. Is something wrong? That's just too strange. Alicia-san exclaimed in surprise. No, it was I who was surprised, and Alicia-san's expression was intense. Is it really that strange to be level 1? I'm from another world, and I think being level 1 right now is normal. It's strange. Mahiro-san, You survived for several days in the Forest of Demons, right? How did you manage to deal with the magical beasts at level 1? I didn't deal with the magical beasts. Huh? I just kept running away. I couldn't fight. Well, I am an appraiser, after all. Running away from magical beasts in the Forest of Demons is normally impossible, you know? But I actually managed to do it. Look, here I am, a person who accomplished that. I wasn't lying. It was all true. As I explained how I had survived in the Forest of Demons, Alicia stood there with her mouth agape. When she finally moved, she dashed out of the room and returned, dragging Glenn along by the scruff of his neck. Is he okay? Gee Glenn, what happened to your face? Ha, I just got a little carried away, so don't worry about it. Oh, I see. Looking at Alicia-san, who wore a silent smile, I understood. When Glenn sat down with his left cheek all swollen and red, I repeated the same explanation once more. As a result, Glenn reacted just like Alicia-san, crossing his arms and starting to grunt. Impossible. Yes, it is indeed impossible. Even if you say that. Oh, you too. Just wait a moment. I thought about what I could do to make them believe me and realized that I needed to present evidence, not just words. I dashed out of Alicia-san's room and headed to mine, grabbing some grapes that I had put on a small plate to bring back. When I placed the small plate on the table, they stared at it closely, then tilted their heads as they looked at me. Mahiro-san, what is this? This is the fruit I was eating to escape the Forest of Demons. It's a food that temporarily boosts abilities. You're joking again, aren't you, Maki? It's true. Eating one of these doubles your speed stat. If you doubt it, one of you should try it. Maybe my desperate persuasion worked, as they exchanged glances and each popped one into their mouths. Their hands seemed to tremble slightly, but that was probably just my imagination. Well, I had left them at room temperature, so the freshness might have dropped. Well, it's a grape. It's sweeter and tastier than usual. Yeah, it's delicious. But that's not the point. Check your status. While they were indeed impressed by the taste, what really mattered was whether their stats would go up. For me, my speed was only 5. So even if it doubled, it would only be 10, or 15 if I ate 2. But I'm curious what will happen to you two. Hey, what's wrong? You both look like you've just seen a ghost. Alicia-san and Glenn were staring at their status screens with expressions like pigeons that had just been hit by a beanbag. They remained frozen in place for a while, but then slowly turned to look at me, their faces in sync. It's really gone up. I told you so. From there, the two bombarded me with questions, and I was unable to gather the information I wanted until lunchtime. Episode 13. The Supercommon Hero Summoning 11. We sincerely apologize. As lunchtime rolled around, both of them apologized in unison. Well, I was careless too, even if it was to make you believe me. It's common not to step into the Forest of Demons, after all. Even though Granzawal was a frontier city, it was built primarily to deal with the magical beasts that overflow from the Forest of Demons, not for the purpose of exploration. The Forest of Demons is recognized worldwide as a place filled with mysteries. The magical beasts that overflow from the Forest of Demons are the ones that have been eliminated. Still, their levels are high, and they remain a threat to us. Therefore, all of the adventurers operating from Granzawal have high levels, but still, no one dares to step into the Forest of Demons. That's only natural. Who in their right mind would consider going into a place where levels of 50 or 60 are the norm? Their stats were on another level entirely, and it's a miracle that I survived at all. Did you appraise the stats of the magical beasts in the Forest of Demons? Glenn, please don't lean in like that. Glenn, we're in the middle of lunch right now. If we keep this up, it'll end up like before. Sorry, Maki. No, it's fine. However, judging by your reaction just now, it seems that it really is strange. Yeah, it is. The magical beasts in the Forest of Demons, as Maki mentioned, are high level. That's why a corresponding level is needed for the appraisal skill. If the level of the appraisal skill is low, it seems that one cannot appraise strong magical beasts or rare materials. This is similar to the appraisal skills you see in light novels. In fact, I couldn't make sense of the grape I just appraised earlier. That grape was an incredibly rare fruit. I've never heard of food that boosts stats, even if only temporarily. But that's why we have to be careful about whether to release information. Why isn't something valuable precisely because it's rare? If this information gets out, adventurers would likely be more active. And above all, I thought that the country would take the lead in investigating the Forest of Demons. But it seems that's not the case. When the country takes action, people move. When people move, supplies move. But Grand Zarwal doesn't have the supplies or facilities to accommodate a large number of people. Moreover, information spreads quickly once it's out in the open. There's no telling that overconfident adventurers won't charge into the Forest of Demons. I see. So if that happens, the death toll would rise, and it could serve as a deterrent, leading the country to refrain from taking action. I don't think the country would hesitate just because of the lives of adventurers, but the possibility isn't zero. That's why it's important to think about where and how to release information. It's often said that you can't shut people's mouths, and it seems that holds true in any world. Then I guess there's nothing I can do to repay you two. Why are you two questioning me? I definitely want to repay you for all the help you've given me, because you helped me when I was about to be turned away, and you let me stay and even fed me. If there's anything I can do, I want to give something back. But I only wanted to help you because you're a fellow otherworlder like my ancestors. I did this because I wanted to, nothing more. I feel the same way. Besides, I wanted to get to know Maki better. Even though they both say they don't need anything, I still want to do something for them. Oh, then I guess I'll start working as an adventurer here. No, maybe it would be better to stop. Why? When I tilted my head in confusion, they both answered at the same time. Because you're level 1. I see. Well, maybe it's not common to hear about a level 1 adventurer. Also, becoming an adventurer as an appraiser might not be the norm either. Still, I have feelings beyond just wanting to help them. I want to enjoy this world. Becoming an adventurer is one way to do that. Then, if I level up, will it be okay? But you're an appraiser, you know. No, maybe it's possible, sister. What do you mean, Glenn? In contrast to Alicia Sand's opinion, I found a glimmer of hope in his opinion. And the answer was worthy of fulfilling my wish. Because, our ancestor, who was also from another world, was originally an appraiser. Episode 14, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 12. The appraiser is one of the beginner class professions and not suited for combat. Is it because the ancestors of the two who came here before me were appraisers like me that they were exiled from the Shridden Kingdom? But what does Glenn mean by that? But Glenn, it's because our ancestor was special that they could fight as an appraiser, right? Sister, Maki is that special one. Why you're right. The way you guys are saying that implies you think being an otherworlder allows an appraiser to fight. Could it be that otherworlders have higher stat growth than people from this world? Why do you know that? Just as I thought. There are stories like that in light novels. Still, if an otherworlder appraiser can grow strong enough to fight magical beasts, I wonder how powerful my classmates and teachers, who are not even beginner classes, would become. Well, I'll be able to confirm that in due time. The Shridden Kingdom wouldn't easily dispose of valuable combatants, and they'd likely send them to the battlefield only after leveling up to a certain point. What's wrong? No, it's nothing. So, I can level up and potentially be able to fight to some extent, right? That's a possibility. But even on the opposite side of the Forest of Demons, in your current state, you'd be wiped out instantly. Still, looking at it differently, if I can defeat even one of them, I could level up quickly, right? Leveling up by defeating weak enemies is certainly one of the thrills, but I also think it would be interesting to defeat a strong enemy while still weak and grow rapidly. Actually, I might prefer it that way. I would appreciate it if you could introduce me to any competent adventurers you know. Competent adventurers? That's a tough one. Really? Even though there may not be any trustworthy individuals, I thought the Lord of Grand Zarwal would have connections with adventurers. But it seems that's not the case. Actually, while we do manage the city, the management of adventurers is entrusted to the Adventurers Guild by the country. But wouldn't that create friction? Especially in a place like Grand Zarwal, where adventurers protect the city. The soldiers stationed at Grand Zarwal should also be involved in defeating the magical beasts overflowing from the Forest of Demons. But that alone wouldn't be sufficient. Adventurers would be the ones to help out. But if the management is split between the Lord and the Adventurers Guild, various issues are bound to arise. Well, That's true. In fact, individual adventurers often have higher levels than the soldiers. Honestly, we tend to yield more often in such matters. It wasn't like that when my parents were alive, though. I see. Then, it seems I should probably give up on becoming an adventurer. Well, I'm adding the caveat that it's only in Grand Zawal. No, I'll arrange for an escort who can accompany you to level up. Plus, there's no need to give up on becoming an adventurer. But wouldn't that mean I would be in opposition to you too? Ha ha ha, we have no right to restrain you, Makey. Besides, that appraisal skill would likely be more useful once you become an adventurer. I guess that's the case. Then, I'll prepare what you need to become an adventurer. Mahiro-san, Glenn, Alicia-san. Having heard this far, I never expected them to arrange for adventurers and help me prepare to become one. I really need to repay this somehow. What do you plan to do from here? If you two have time, I still have a lot of questions and would like to talk more. Then I'll ask the questions. Nei-san has her duties as the Lord, after all. Oh, Glenn. I've already finished my work ahead of schedule, so I have plenty of time. You, on the other hand, don't you still have work left as an appraiser? I wrapped everything up yesterday. After all, it's for Makey. Both of you? For some reason, the two of them started glaring at each other and exchanging words. I sensed that I was somehow the cause, but I had no idea why, so I couldn't stop it. Enough. I'll explain, so you should just step back, Nei-san. No, I will explain, so Glenn, you step back. Alicia-san and Glenn, please calm down. First of all, why are you calling Mahiro-san by his first name and without any honorifics? HMPH. Yesterday, Makey and I deepened our friendship as men. What do you mean? No, it's more like we just decided how to call each other. Grrrr. Mahiro-san. Yes. What is it? See, can I also call Mahiro-san? Makey-san? Why yeah, that's fine. Thank you. It's amazing how just changing the way of addressing someone can bring such a bright smile. Yeah, she's incredibly beautiful. Well then, please call me Alicia too. But you're the Lord, right? It feels wrong to call you without any honorifics, Alicia. Oh okay, I understand, Alicia. You're too close. You're too close, Alicia. Thank you. Now then, we need to decide who will talk with Makey. If you both have time, why don't we just all talk together? That's a good idea. In the end, when I suggested that loudly, they both nodded in agreement with satisfied expressions. I mean, why didn't I realize that from the beginning? Episode 15, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 13. We continued our discussion even after finishing lunch. The first topic I brought up was the common knowledge of this world. We talked about how a year, a month, and a day work, as well as the changing of the seasons. As a result, I learned that the time structure is almost the same as in Japan, with a year consisting of 360 days, a month having 30 days, and a day being 24 hours. Seasons change every 3 months, cycling through spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Currently, it's spring, apparently. However, the Forest of Demons is said to be a place where the world's logic doesn't apply. According to legends, there is a special space deep in the Forest of Demons where you can't feel the seasons at all. It's said to be hotter than midsummer all year round and colder than midwinter. Yeah, this really is an alternate world. There are places where the common sense of Japan doesn't apply. The next common knowledge that piqued my interest was about the currency. Yesterday, I was curious about the currency when I appraised of ours. It turns out there isn't much difference from Japan. It just changes from yen to zens. The average monthly income varies by country, but in the Adelreed Kingdom, it's between 200,000 and 300,000 zens. With such little difference, it seems that as long as I earn enough, managing money shouldn't be a problem. The last point is about the global positioning or the relationships between countries. At this point, Alicia stood up and brought a large map that covered half the table. This is the Adelreed Kingdom, and right next to it is the Forest of Demons. Wow, this place is relatively central in the world. And this is the Forest of Demons. Is it just me, or is the Forest of Demons way too big? Upon closer inspection, what I thought was the central Adelreed Kingdom is actually on the edge of the world, with the Forest of Demons occupying a third of the map. Given that they are holding back the magical beasts overflowing from such a vast forest, the title of a fortress city isn't just for show. With such a wide area, The place I was transferred to must have really been an entrance. I believe so. It's said that only a fraction of the Forest of Demons has been surveyed, so they likely couldn't set up a teleportation magic circle further inside. With those powerful magical beasts appearing, it's unlikely that even an otherworlder at level 1 with a beginner class could survive at the entrance. And this may bring back some unpleasant memories for Maki-san, but I should let you know anyway. What is it? After hesitating a little, Alicia pointed to a country located on the opposite side of the Adelreed Kingdom. No way, is that? Yes, this is the country that summoned you, Shriden Kingdom. Wait, isn't the Adelreed Kingdom pretty far from the Shriden Kingdom? There are at least 2 other countries in between. Why, you mean I was transferred this far away? Can it even be done? Teleportation connects one space to another, so the distance in between doesn't seem to matter. However, teleportation magic consumes a massive amount of magical power. It should only be usable by those with a high level in advanced classes. Glenn explained teleportation while Alicia elaborated on teleportation magic. It doesn't really concern me, but with such a distance, I probably won't have a chance to meet my classmates again. At least, I wanted to talk to her. I was thinking of my childhood friend, Madoka. I'm only worried about Madoka, who was with me throughout elementary, middle, and high school. Oh, and Akige-sensei too. Those 2 were the only ones worried about me. Are you okay, Maki-san? Huh? I'm fine. I was just getting worried about the others. By the way, Maki, how many people were summoned during the hero summoning? Since we're talking about students and teachers, including me, there were 31 people. Speaking of which, I wanted to ask too, is hero summoning something that happens frequently? I thought that if people were summoned so frequently, there might be no one left in my original world. But it seems that's not the case. No, it actually requires an enormous amount of magical power, even more than teleportation magic. I've also heard that precious materials are necessary, so it probably can't be done so easily. Well, I suppose that's true. Moreover, hero summoning comes with risks. I only glanced at the place where I was summoned, but it didn't look dangerous to me. It's not something that will happen right away. It's more of a future concern. A future concern? Yeah. Not all summoned otherworlders might be good people, you know. I see what they're getting at. You mean there's a possibility that a powerful otherworlder could betray us? At my words, the 2 nodded silently. It seems that the rate at which their abilities increase is higher than that of the people in this world. And if they level up to become the strongest, there may be those who want to hold power. In fact, there are countries ruled by people who have otherworlders as their ancestors. See, I told you so. Episode 16, The Supercommon Hero Summoning. 14. I had heard about a country governed by those who have ancestors from another world, but I never expected there to be multiple places like that. Adelreed Kingdom is ruled by kings of pure native of this world. That's a bit concerning in its own way. Well, as long as I keep my Divine Eye abilities a secret, it shouldn't be a problem. Also, it might be worth remembering that the neighboring Garantalia Kingdom is close by. The others were mostly countries neighboring or close to the Shriden Kingdom, so it's possible that only the Shriden Kingdom is performing the hero summoning itself. If that's the case, why aren't the other countries trying to stop it? Well, I guess it doesn't matter what I think. The people of this world probably know more about it, and they must have their reasons. They might think it's lucky to have someone from another world show up out of the blue. Still, the territory of the Adelreed Kingdom isn't very large, is it? If they were attacked by another country, they wouldn't stand a chance. Looking at the map, that was the main thing on my mind. Compared to other countries, the Adelreed Kingdom is quite small and only shares borders with 2 other countries aside from the Forest of Demons. One of those is the Garantalia Kingdom, but the other is a country purely ruled by natives of this world. Both Garantalia and Reinhardt Kingdom have formed alliances with the Adelreed Kingdom, so there's no need to worry. I mean, I don't think the other countries are actively trying to destroy the Adelreed Kingdom, either. Is that so? I was intrigued by Glenn's addition. However, the reason behind it was extremely simple. The defensive measure of the Adelreed Kingdom is Grand Zawal, which means that, from the perspective of other countries, the Adelreed Kingdom itself serves as a defensive measure. In other words, they don't want to deal with managing the Forest of Demons, right? Exactly. Well, even if they say that with a smile, it's a bit concerning. Indeed, no country would want to deal with magical beasts, and no country would want to manage them either. However, this connects quite a bit with what the two had been saying. However, if information about food that temporarily boosts abilities comes out, there will be countries that want to take over the Forest of Demons. Precisely. It's true that information can be a weapon. So, for those reasons, the Adelreed Kingdom is currently allied with the neighboring countries, so there's no worry of it being destroyed. If Alicia says that, it must be true. I sat down in a chair, took a deep breath, and sipped the now cold tea. Have I overloaded you with information? Yes, I'm a bit tired. Then let's take a break. It's snack time, after all. With that, the two of them left the living room. Now that I was alone, I decided to organize my thoughts. While I'm in the Adelreed Kingdom, I probably won't run into those guys. The King of Shriden must think I'm dead, and the fact that I was transported will likely be kept secret. If I were to confront the King of Shriden, I could publicly reveal his misdeeds. But whether anyone would believe me is another issue. And I don't even know if I can get to the Shriden Kingdom in the first place. Then I might as well enjoy this world as planned. Otherwise, it would be such a waste. Still, the Forest of Demons. I hadn't even finished investigating a tenth of it, and the area it covers is extremely enticing. Investigating this place might lead to enjoying the other world. This world, I suppose. Thinking this, I decided to set a goal for myself in this world. Alright, for the time being, I'll focus on leveling up. But ultimately, I want to explore and survey the Forest of Demons. And as I nodded to myself while crossing my arms, the two returned with snacks and freshly brewed tea. I reached for the snacks and, while sipping my tea, voiced a suggestion. Alicia, I was transported near the entrance of the Forest of Demons, right? Yes. That's correct. Even if there are fruits that boost status, it would be difficult to return from deep within. Alright, that works out better for me. I have a suggestion. How about we set up signposts in the Forest of Demons? Well, I guess it's a natural reaction to be surprised when I say it out of the blue like that. Episode 17, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 15. That said, I didn't say it without any reason. I thought that maybe there are other people from another world who, like me, might get transported to the Forest of Demons. So I wanted to provide a safe route they could follow. But, it's only because Maki-san is a special case that you survived. You have the Appraiser, Divine Eye. I think others with beginner classes would be killed off immediately, even if they are from another world. That's true. I also agree with my sister this time. It's unlikely for special cases like Maki to appear frequently. And if the Shriden Kingdom finds out about things like their Divine Eye, only those with regular beginner classes will probably be transported here. Both of their points were valid. But still, I wanted to save as many people from other worlds as possible. Even if the chances of survival were low, I wanted to take action if it could raise those odds even slightly. I don't think the teleportation magic circle will move, so we can set up a signpost there to explain that this is the Forest of Demons. From there, we can also put up another signpost showing where the fruits that temporarily boost abilities are located. But then, it will be left to luck whether anyone can reach them, right? That's how it will be. Ideally, some tools can be left to communicate with Grand Zarwal. But there's no such thing, isn't it? That's right. In fact, if we had such magical tools, we would want to use them ourselves. Back in my world, I had smartphones. But bringing that up now wouldn't change anything. That's why we need the signposts. We'll just set them up so it doesn't matter if they get destroyed. And we'll hire high-level adventurers to check on them from time to time. If they're still standing, that's great. If they're broken, we'll just put them back up again. If any other worlders survive and manage to reach Grand Zarwal, don't you think this place will develop much more? Most other worlders would probably arrive with beginner classes at level 1. However, if they level up, their ability stats should significantly improve even with beginner classes. It would compensate for their job-related disadvantages. Well, that assumption also includes my desire for my own ability stats to increase. It's an interesting idea. But the real question is whether there are any adventurers willing to take the job. Are requests from the Lord problematic? We're doing fine with lower-level adventurers. But seasoned adventurers or those with intermediate classes get snapped up by the guilds right away. So when we request them, they look down on us. If that's the case, We'll go bankrupt before any otherworlders even arrive. We might even lose our territorial management to the Adventurers Guild. I see, the relationship has deteriorated that much. However, if that's the case, it seems like it would be difficult to realize my plans. Even if I were to make the request as an individual, I would likely be treated as an outsider. And there's no way they'd believe me, even if I explained the situation. The request only holds meaning if someone with influence makes it. But with Makey here, I feel like we can manage without needing higher-level adventurers. Wait, what are you talking about, Glenn? What do you mean? I had thought both of them had given up, but it seemed Glenn was considering something different. Think about it, Nay-san. Makey's appraisal skill not only allows him to appraise the magical beasts in the Forest of Demons but also lets him do so without having to see them. Plus, if he wants to find something, he can guide us there. So we could potentially avoid the magical beasts and get to our destination, right? Wait, that assumes that Makey-san is going into the Forest of Demons, doesn't it? I was speaking with that assumption from the start. Besides, you wouldn't know where the teleport location or the fruit locations are without me. As I casually stated this, Alicia seemed to realize it for the first time and turned bright red, looking down. But that doesn't change the fact that it's dangerous. Right now, Makey-san is at level 1. That's the biggest problem. I probably wouldn't get permission from Alicia until my level increased. So, if my level goes up, would that solve the problem? Of course. You should aim for at least level 15. Glenn, make sure to choose escorts who can absolutely protect Makey-san. Got it, Nay-san. And Makey-san, this is a fundamental issue, but we need to keep the existence of the fruits that temporarily boost abilities a secret. So we can't set up the signposts with the current information. That's right. Alicia had a smug look on her face, as if she were getting back at me for her earlier oversight. I had completely forgotten about it since I was only focused on helping the otherworlders. Glenn was watching me scratch my head with a wry smile. He then stood up, excused himself, and left the living room. Now left alone, I decided to ask about Alicia. Episode 18, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 16. So, what is your profession, Alicia? My profession? Yes. I heard Glenn is an appraiser, but I realized I hadn't asked about your profession. Since she was going to become a lord, she probably didn't have a beginner's class. She might even have an intermediate or maybe even an advanced class. I have 2 professions, mage and lord. By the way, mage is a lower class profession, and lord is an intermediate class. Wait, you can have 2 professions? I didn't know how professions were determined, but I thought you could only have one. However, it seems I wasn't entirely wrong. It turns out that you need special conditions to acquire a second profession. To put it simply, you become a king of some country or, like me, a lord of a territory. Is that all? Yes, that's it. However, that alone means taking responsibility for many lives. I see. By taking on that responsibility, you can obtain a second profession. But is there any benefit to it? Honestly, I'm not sure how being a lord is useful. I could imagine that an appraiser like me would have the ability to discern items, and a hero or sage would have strong stats just by their titles. But I couldn't figure out how having lord as a profession would be beneficial. When you become a lord, you gain skills that have invisible effects. That skill is called charisma. Charisma? Is that the kind of charisma that attracts people or leads them, like the kind of thing humans possess? Exactly. However, my charisma skill is at level 1, so it does come with its share of issues. So, the previous lord must have had a high level in that charisma skill. How do skill levels increase? As a lord, I raise my level by uniting my people. I've heard from Glenn that appraisers raise their levels by evaluating many items or rare ones. By the way, what's the level of your appraisal skill, Makey-san? My appraisal skill is level 10. Huh? I'm sorry, but I seem to have missed that. Can you say it again? So, it's level 10. Isn't that the limit? Yes, that's right. It is indeed capped out. But you started with your appraisal skill at level 10, right? Wow, Makey-san is starting to look like a god to me. What? Why? I couldn't make sense of being considered a god by having level 10 skill of a beginner class. To tell the truth, appraisers are a beginner class, but there are intermediate and advanced classes for it as well. Really? Is that so? Yes. Ancient appraisers are an intermediate class, and holy item appraisers are an advanced class. Is there no special class? I've never heard of one. However, I think Maki-san's appraiser, Divine Eyes, might be a special class of appraiser. Excuse me? My appraiser, Divine Eyes, is a special class? No way, that can't be true. No. The fact that your appraisal skill starts at level 10 is already abnormal. Level 10 in any skill is considered on par with being heroic. Even in appraisal skills. All skills. I've never heard of a holy item appraiser reaching skill level 10. Oh, could it be that I could have received special treatment if I had explained this properly at the royal castle? No. I absolutely wouldn't want to work under that king. I won't complain about that. If I were an advanced class appraiser, would the increase in ability stats when leveling up be significant? Honestly, I can't say. The chances of encountering an advanced class are so rare, you might only see one once in a lifetime. Could it be that I'm as precious a being as Madoka or the other special classes? Despite being surprised by my own situation, I felt I had learned a lot today, and as I felt moved by the fact that the two of them were making efforts for me, I also strongly felt that I needed to repay them somehow. Episode 19, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 17. That evening, as the three of us sat around the dining table, Glenn shared some exciting news. I found a bodyguard. Huh? No way, that was fast. We had only discussed it at lunchtime, and by the evening, he had already found someone. That's some fast work. Well, I'm happy, of course. Actually, a friend of mine is a soldier here. A soldier? So, not an adventurer? Hiring an adventurer would cost money. Of course, we're still paying Rickert as compensation for being your bodyguard. But it's much more manageable. Glenn, you asked Rickert-chan for help. She called the name with Chan, so it's probably a girl's name. If she's cute, that'd be nice. Rickert-chan may have a lower class profession, but she's a knight and already at level 15. Among the young soldiers, she's one with a lot of potential for the future. Honestly, she's too valuable to be just a soldier here in Grand Zawal. Monsters in the Forest of Demons were around levels 50 or 60. But since the leveling up takes place on the opposite side of the forest, it shouldn't be a problem. Even so, for me, those creatures are still dangerous. I can't help but wonder what kind of monsters we'll encounter. What level are the monsters around here? The average level is around 10 to 15. Some rare individuals go beyond level 20, but that's not common. If it's Rickert, she should be fine as long as you don't encounter one of those rare high-level monsters. Glenn's explanation made Rickert-san sound quite impressive. Could it be? Glenn, do you have a crush on Rickert-san? PFFFT. Maki, what are you saying all of a sudden? Haha, that reaction. I think I hit the mark. Hee. Glenn and Rickert-chan have been childhood friends, you see. I believe Rickert-chan has feelings for Glenn. No, Nei-san, don't say weird things. Oh, it's the truth, so there's nothing to be done. Watching Glenn, his face flushed red as he quickly stuffed his mouth with food. Alicia and I exchanged glances and burst out laughing. But are we sure it's okay for her to take time off just for me? Doesn't Rickert-san have her own duties? Protecting Grand Zawal is part of her job as a soldier, and helping you with what you're trying to do ultimately aids in that. Plus, this will also help Rickert-chan level up, so there's a benefit for her too. It seems that young soldiers, especially those still developing, rotate shifts to go outside the city to level up. But since there are quite a few soldiers, it can take a while for their turn to come. So, getting an external mission like this is actually appreciated by young soldiers. Oh, wait, I don't have any equipment. Should I prepare some? Don't worry. While it's standard issue for soldiers, I've already gathered a full set of gear for you. That's fast. Glenn, you're amazing. I wonder what kind of equipment they use in this world. I'm excited to find out. Based on the gate guard's weapons, I'm guessing swords and spears are the main types. The main weapons are swords, spears, axes, and staffs. For armor, I've prepared light armor since it's easier to move in. Wearing heavy armor at level 1 would just make it hard for you to move. Light armor is perfect. I'm glad to hear that. The gear is currently in the entrance hall. After dinner, we can go bring it inside. No, I'll go to the entrance hall myself. That way, we can tidy up faster. Though, truthfully, I just want to see the equipment as soon as possible. With excitement bubbling up, I quickly finished my meal and headed to the entrance hall with Glenn. Meanwhile, Alicia stayed behind to clean up the dishes. She seemed a bit upset, but there wasn't much I could do about that. Hopefully, Glenn won't be the sacrificial lamb later. When we arrived at the entrance hall, I saw an array of weapons lined up and light armor neatly displayed on a cloth. Whoa! I couldn't help but shout out in joy. There were both long swords and short swords, and even spears of varying lengths. There was also an enormous battle axe, but yeah, that's definitely not for me. Still, just looking at all the weapons made my heart race with excitement. With your build, Makey, I think this sword or spear might suit you best. There's also a shield, so if you choose a sword, you might want to check that out too. I'll go with the sword, and for the shield, I'd prefer the kind that attaches to the arm rather than something I have to hold. I see. In that case, how about this? Glenn picked out a one-handed sword with a blade about 50 centimeters long and a round buckler that was attached to the arm. When I unsheathed the sword and gazed at the blade, the shine of the new steel captivated me. I tried on the buckler, and it wasn't too heavy or too light. It felt just right. Makey, have you ever held a sword before? No, it's my first time. In the world I came from, there was never any opportunity to handle weapons. Is that so? Strange. You seem like a natural. Oh really? Feeling a little embarrassed, I sheathed the sword again, still excited, and double-checked with Glenn. Are you sure I can really borrow this? Borrow? No, this is a gift from me. Oh really? Of course. Just make sure to repay me with some impressive results, Glenn answered with a big smile on his face. Thanks, Glenn. I'll do my best starting tomorrow. I'm counting on you, Makey. As the two of us finished packing up the gear, Alicia came rushing into the entrance hall. What? It's already over? Yes. I've picked some great equipment. Why did you put it all away already? Alright, Nasan, you can see it tomorrow. Makey needs to rest up for the big day. Glenn, meet me in the living room later. With that, Alicia marched off, her steps heavy. Sorry, Glenn. Don't worry. I was expecting this. I didn't expect him to actually become a sacrificial lamb. Guess I really have to work hard tomorrow. Yeah, I'll give it my all. Episode 20, The Royal Castle 2-3 days had passed since Haruka disappeared. Predictably, the students were in turmoil. But the one who managed to bring them together was the hero, Kuya. Kuya believed the explanation given by the Kingdom of Shridden. He approached each student personally, attempting to calm them down. Those he spoke to also seemed to regain their composure, thinking, if Kuya says so, then it must be true. There was a reason why everyone trusted him so much. I have it, and so do you. But it seems my skill level is higher. The charisma skill, huh? What a convenient ability. The charisma skill was something that manifested in kings, lords, and those who ruled territories. Kuya, as a hero, and Arata, as a sword saint, both possessed it. This was due to their special classes. The Sage, Madoka, and the Fist King, Uriya, also had this skill. However, with Haruka and Makey both gone, Madoka was distraught and Uriya was busy supporting her. As a result, the only ones aware of their charisma skills effects were Kuya and Arata. As the hero, my skill level is 5. Arata, as the sword saint, yours is level 3. That makes me wonder about Yokiyo and Kondo's skill levels. Although they weren't sure whether the Sage and Fist King had the charisma skill, both Kuya and Arata assumed they did. But the hero is always the ultimate figure in every story. There's no way anyone could surpass me. I hope so. The two of them were in Kuya's room. They were supposed to be discussing their next steps, but neither had any intention of following the whims of the Shridden Kingdom. For now, we have no choice but to comply. If we don't level up, even with special classes, we'll end up getting killed. You're talking about like how it happened to Mahiro? Arata asked, bringing up Makey's name. It immediately darkened Kuya's expression. If he hadn't been there, Yokiyo-san wouldn't have hesitated. He was just a beginner class, so it's no surprise he was disposed of. Isn't it because Mahiro's gone that she's unsure? No, Mahiro's very existence was the problem. Frankly, I'm grateful. The King of Shridden did us a favor by getting rid of him. Kuya had feelings for Madoka. His infatuation had started long before they became student council president and vice president. It had been there since their first year in high school. Kuya, who was praised as perfect, handsome, intelligent, and skilled, could not fathom why someone like him could ever lose to someone as ordinary as Makey. No matter what I did, Yukio-san never looked my way. But here, things are different. I'm the hero, the one destined to save this world. And now, Mihiro is gone. Even if he was still here, there's no way a beginner class appraiser could ever compete with me. As Kuya smiled smugly, Arata gazed at him while his thoughts drifted elsewhere. Mihiro, are you really dead, or are you still alive somewhere? Though Arata hadn't interacted much with Maki at school, deep down, he hoped that Maki was safe. Pig. Haruka. Calm down, Madoka. I'm sorry, Yuria. It's all my fault that this happened. Madoka was overwhelmed with guilt over Haruka's disappearance. Haruka had said she would speak to the Kingdom of Shuriden about Maki's situation. But 2 weeks later, she had vanished. The kingdom claimed that she had stormed out of the castle in search of Maki, despite being warned against it. However, it was hard for Madoka to believe Haruka would act so recklessly. These people are definitely hiding something. I agree with you. But right now, we don't have the power or connections to uncover the truth. So we have no choice but to comply for now? Exactly, for now. For now? When Madoka raised her head, she saw Yuria speaking with a cryptic smile. If we level up, we'll be able to act on our own. When that time comes, let's go search for Maki and Haruka-sensei. Yuria. But are you sure? If we do something like that, we might end up becoming enemies of the people here. Madoka had been thinking that it didn't matter what happened to her. But when someone else was involved, the situation changed. Especially if that someone was her best friend, Yuria. However, Yuria had already made up her mind, and from her perspective, the feeling of caring for a friend was mutual. I'm worried about you too, Madoka. And I also know that you have feelings for Maki. How did you know? Oh, come on, anyone could figure it out just by watching how you act around him. I think the only one who hasn't noticed is Maki himself. Seriously? You didn't realize it yourself, huh? Seeing Yuria scratching her cheek and smiling wryly, Madoka blushed bright red and looked down, embarrassed. So listen, Madoka. For now, we'll pretend to go along with things and focus on leveling up. Then, when the time is right, we'll make our move. Yeah, I understand. Thank you, Yuria. A moment ago, Madoka had been in tears. But her expression had completely transformed. It was now filled with determination. You're alive, right, Maki-kun? Haruka-sensei will definitely come to save you. From that day forward, Madoka prayed for the safety of Mihiro and Haruka, and she threw herself into leveling up with everything she had. Episode 21. The Super Common Hero Summoning 18. Today, I woke up feeling great and full of energy. Why? Of course, it's because I can level up. After being suddenly transported to another world and spending a while running away from magical beasts, it's finally time to say goodbye to that life. Once I level up, I'll be able to fight too. Alright, I'm all set. I put on the light armor that Glenn picked out for me, hanging a one-handed sword at my waist and attaching a buckler to my left arm. Looking in the mirror, I felt a strange sensation at how I had transformed into this. But this is reality. That's the thought that hit me again. The hero summoning, the expulsion event, and the life in the cursed forest. To be honest, I didn't really need all that, but now that I've come this far, it's okay if I forget about it. Maki, are you ready? I'm coming. After hearing Glenn's voice from the hallway, I checked my appearance one last time before opening the door and stepping out into the corridor. There, I saw Alicia, who smiled when she saw me. You look great, Maki-san. Thank you, Alicia. Well then, let's head to the entrance. We're meeting Rickett in front of the gate. The thrilling hunt for magical beasts is about to begin. Oh no, I'm super excited. Forget what I just said. I'm sorry for saying I was excited. I won't say that again. Fugu. See, I weakened it for you. So hurry up and finish it off. Well, even if you say that, it's super ferocious. Yes, the magical beast was really scary. It's terrifying even outside the forest of demons. This is all due to Rickett-san's teaching methods, though. I told you I will not spoil you. I know, but I've said so many times that I'm a level 1 appraiser. It can't be helped if I do too much for you. You won't gain any experience points. Fugu. With her short, bright red haircut to earlobe length, the boyish female soldier is Rickett artist. When I greeted her at the gate, she wore a cheerful smile and seemed friendly. But as soon as we faced the magical beast, her expression completely changed. Her gaze sharpened, and though she looked cool holding her sword, Her speech turned rough. It made someone frightened. And that was me. In front of me, there was a beast resembling a boar that was unable to move because its leg was injured, identified as a bullfang by appraisal, waving its fangs around from its mouth. I wanted to approach and attack, but it kept twisting its body despite being unable to move, making it hard to get close. Huck. It can't be helped. I don't care if I don't get any experience points. Rikot-san clearly lost patience with me as I hesitated. She dashed forward at lightning speed and swung her straight sword as she passed, cutting off the bullfang's fangs. After losing its leg and now its fangs, the bullfang seemed to lose its will to fight and became quiet for the first time since showing itself. Is it okay? Hurry up and kill it. Eek. Oh okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. Swallowing hard, I slowly approached. Though the bullfang had calmed down after losing its fangs, its eyes were still fixed on me. I hoped it wasn't thinking of biting me at the first opportunity. Faster. Yes. There was no way I could go against the now demon instructor, Rikot-san. So I steeled myself and approached step by step, swinging my one-handed sword down at the bullfang's neck. Boo-oon. Fugu. Both Rikot-san and I, even the bullfang, let out bewildered sounds of surprise. My one-handed sword just bounced off the bullfang's skin. Fugu. Right after the bullfang twisted its body to bite me, Rikot-san's straight sword flashed, and she severed the bullfang's neck. Standing right in front of that scene, I felt admiration for Rikot-san. Just kidding. I was actually disheartened as I got splattered with the spurting blood. Why couldn't you take it down? I'm level 1, sorry. Even so, to be bounced off like that. Bounced off. PFFT. That's just mean. There's no reason to laugh. Ha ha ha. But I've never seen that before. Mahiro, was it? You really are level 1, huh? No, I said that from the start. Didn't I? Did you not believe me? Episode 22. The Supercommon Hero Summoning 19. Well, after Rikot-san laughed for a while, I decided to refocus and diligently work on leveling up. As for the earlier bullfang, since Rikot-san delivered the finishing blow, I obviously didn't gain any experience points. Now that I realized I couldn't even cut through the bullfang's skin, I needed to search for a weaker magical beast. By the way, Mahiro is such a mysterious person. Isn't that a bit rude for someone you just met? Well, it's true. Well, you're not wrong, right? Rikot-san seems to be very sociable and has a straightforward way of speaking. Because of that, there are apparently many who don't think highly of her. But Glenn told me that she has a lot of trust from those who have become close to her. But you know, around Grand Zawal, if we're looking for magical beasts weaker than a bullfang, we don't see many. But there's the Minifang. Is that the child of a bullfang? Exactly. Its skin isn't tough yet, so it's softer and weaker than an adult bullfang. You should be able to take it down, Mahiro. A Minifang, huh? Glenn introduced me as a fellow appraiser. Rikot-san doesn't seem to care about where I came from or how we met, and she is willing to help out since it was Glenn's request. However, I obviously didn't tell her about my divine eye, so I can't perform appraisals to show locations right in front of her. Appraisal. Minifang. Note: if you these bold dialogues in this novel in the future, it means it's in a small voice. It was supposed to be in different font in the docs, but well. It was also such a hassle uploading the pics below. So, make sure to apply for my membership to get the docs file. Tehi, greater than comma. So, I had to perform the appraisal in a small voice and guide her in that direction. Hey, Rikot-san, how about we go over the next? Over there? Sure, but why? Why, you ask? I guess it's just a hunch. I couldn't say it was over there, so I could only come up with a vague excuse of it being a hunch. And I watched Rikot-san's reaction with my heart racing. We don't have to go. Let's go, then. Is that really okay? Well, it doesn't matter where we search, right? If that's the case, then please don't ask why from the start. You made me so nervous. Not being able to voice my thoughts, I let out a huge sigh and sighed while following the guidance of the appraisal. After a while, Rikot-san stopped, raised her left arm, and signaled for me to stop. Mahiro, you're amazing. What's wrong? Bingo. When I followed her gaze, I saw a Minifang, clearly smaller than a bullfang. It was eating grass growing from the ground, looking like a baby wild boar. It's so cute. What are you saying? We're going to kill it. Note, / Here's some cute piglet pics to get you traumatized. What? We're going to kill such a cute little boar? No, no, that's a minifang. It'll grow up to be a bullfang. Bullfang. That's right, that little boar is a minifang, a magical beast. No matter how cute it looks, I have to kill it. Even if it's adorable. Ugh, it's so cute. Hey, don't shout. Phew. The little boar heard my voice and ran off into the forest. Well, killing a baby boar is just too sad to do. It's getting away. Mahiro. Wait, why? The baby boar is gone already. That's not it. Its parents are coming. Parents? Thud, 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 thud. Just as Rickot-san spoke, I heard an incredible sound of footsteps coming from the forest. I hurriedly appraised the source of the sound, and the display showed 2 instances of the bullfang. Wait, Rickot-san. This is all your fault, Mahiro. I'm sorry. In the end, I couldn't hunt a single magical beast today and remained at level 1. My first experience with leveling up turned out to be bittersweet. Episode 23, The Super Common Hero Summoning 20. That evening, the food tasted particularly delicious. Maki-san, delicious, so good. Taito, Maki, so good. Whoa. Water, water. Gulp, gulp. Pure. Thank you, Glenn. Yeah, it's fine, but... Is something going on? Didn't you get along with Rickot-chan? No, it's not that. Actually, I felt like I was getting along quite well with Rickot-san. After seeing even a glimpse of that king's personality, I really appreciated Rickot-san's straightforwardness. But the problem was with me, and I couldn't help but think about what to do. I couldn't cut through the bullfang's skin. Bullfang's skin is tough and elastic, so I think it can't be helped. Then what about the minifang? They're just too cute. I began to enthusiastically talk about the cuteness of the minifang. I had never seen a baby wild boar in real life since I was a city kid, but I was always captivated by their adorable appearance on TV. Well, I just liked cute things in general, but I never thought that would stop me from killing a minifang in this world. As soon as I finished talking, the response from the 2 was, "But it's a magical beast, right?" That's right. In the end, it's still a magical beast. Yeah, I understand that I have to defeat it because it's a magical beast. If it grows up, it will turn into a bullfang, and I wouldn't stand a chance against it. Even so, cuteness is precious. As I was getting a bit emotional, Alicia clapped her hands and made a suggestion. Then, why don't you defeat a slimy insect? What's a slimy insect? Because it looks so grotesque among magical beasts. There aren't many people who like to hunt them. They also move slowly and are weaker than bullfangs, so it might be perfect for you, Maki-san. I see. If it's not cute, I might be able to handle it. The fact that it looks grotesque caught my attention, but maybe it would be a better idea to hunt a magical beast like that. However, I wondered if it was okay to take Rickot-san with me to such a place. When I raised that point, Glenn laughed and assured me it was no problem. Rickot has a strong sense of justice, so it's no issue at all. But it's grotesque, right? She didn't say she was uncomfortable with it, so it should be fine, right? Still, we can't be certain about that. Well, why not ask her tomorrow? Or do you want to kill the minifang instead? That's impossible. Then tomorrow, let's check with Rickot-chan, and if she's okay with it, we'll go hunt the slimy insect. I felt a bit uneasy, but since killing the minifang was emotionally difficult for me, it couldn't be helped. If Rickot-san says she's against it, then I'll think of another method. Well then, I'll head to bed early to prepare for tomorrow. I told the 2 of them and returned to my room from the living room, lying on my bed while thinking about my childhood friend. I wonder if Madoka is okay. Though she had a strong sense of justice, Madoka sometimes lacked decisiveness. And whenever she hesitated, she would often consult me. I also consulted her quite often, though. Well, with Yuria and that guy around, there shouldn't be any problems. As long as the student council president doesn't get too carried away and do something weird. I had some understanding of Yuria and that guy's personalities, but I had no idea about the student council president since I had never interacted with him. I hope he doesn't go off the deep end just because he got probably the best job as a hero. But I'm sure Akige-sensei will take care of that. Even though many of us got dragged into this, she's the only adult around. I guess I'll go to sleep now. Tomorrow, I'll be hunting the slimy insect and experience my first level up. I'm looking forward to seeing how much my stats will increase, and I'm sure the day when I can hunt magical beasts myself is just around the corner. Yawn. ZZZZ. And since coming to this world, I seem to have improved my sleep quality, easily drifting off to sleep once again. Episode 24, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 21. Today is my second level up, but for some reason, there's a different companion along with Rigot-san. Why is Glenn here? I'm off duty today, so I thought I'd accompany you, Makey. But isn't it dangerous? Glenn is the Lord's brother, and shouldn't we have more guards? Haha, it's fine. I can handle some self-defense. Glenn brushed off my concerns with a light laugh. However, Rigot-san was not going to let that slide. Yeah, that's typical of a soldier from Grand Zawal. If you're just going to self-defend, stay behind. If you're coming along, you'd better fight properly. Seriously? If Rigot says so, I can't argue with that. I'll help with your level up, Makey. I appreciate the help, but please prioritize your own safety. Then let's go. Let's do our best, Makey. Okay, let's do our best. Is this gonna be a situation where I have to use my appraisal skill a lot and be alert for magical beasts? Now that we're outside Grand Zawal, there's no sign of any magical beasts. My appraisal skill would be useful here. But if I use it immediately to find the slimy insect, people might suspect I have a special skill. Oh right, I should inform Rigot-san that we're hunting the slimy insect today, not the Minifan. Rigot-san. Today, instead of the Minifan, we're going to hunt the slimy in. Rigot, let's go check over there. Geez, don't just run off on your own, Glenn. Huh? I thought Glenn was also listening to our conversation yesterday. As I wondered about this, only Glenn turned back, placing a finger to his lips. Does that mean to keep quiet? But wouldn't that imply that Rigot-san is afraid of the slimy insect? I figured that if he was going in secret, it was probably because they wouldn't allow him to go if he told them. Nevertheless, Glenn likely knows Rigot-san better and wouldn't do something strange with magical beasts. Maybe I should follow Glenn's lead here. While it's not a side note, I used my appraisal skill to check the location of the slimy insect while the two of them walked ahead. It's in the direction Glenn is heading. It might be a magical beast that has a set habitat. I thought it would be a problem if there were multiple ones, but the appraisal result indicates there's only one. It seems to be weaker than the bullfang, so it should make a good offering for my level up. But I wonder what kind of magical beast looks grotesque. I should have asked for more details about its appearance. Wait. As I was lost in thought, Rigot-san suddenly raised her voice and stopped. While Glenn turned back with his usual smile. Curious about what was happening, I rushed over, only to see Rigot's face tense up, and her body was slightly trembling. We shouldn't go any further from here. Why not? There are no magical beasts on the plains, and we have to go into the woods, right? True, but from here on, if Rigot-san doesn't want to go, I don't mind. I don't mind. I just need a little mental preparation. Oh, should I say she's a soldier? She seems to have a competitive streak, but judging by her reaction, she's definitely scared of the slimy insect. I glanced sideways at Glenn, and he was looking at me with a mischievous grin. You're really a bad influence. Phew, ha, phew, ha. Okay, I'm good. Note, inhale, exhale. If you really don't want to go, I won't. Alright. Let's go. Wait, Glenn? In the end, at Glenn's signal, Rigot-san marched forward with big strides. Unlike Glenn, who seemed to be enjoying the sight, I was so worried that I hurried up to him and spoke. Hey, Glenn. Is this really okay? Playing pranks with magical beasts is a bad idea, you know? It's not a prank. Then why aren't you saying anything? Given her reaction, I'm sure she's scared of it. I know. But if people find out a soldier is afraid of a magical beast, it would be a huge problem. Glenn's expression as he said this was serious, and he didn't look like he was thinking of playing tricks. It seems there's something about Rigot-san that I don't know. I understand. I won't say anything. That helps. I looked at Glenn, who was now beside Rigot-san, and he seemed to be smiling defiantly, but I'm sure it's just my imagination. Episode 25, The Supercommon Hero Summoning 22. Glenn led us to a lake. At first glance, it looked like a beautiful lake nestled within the woods, But Rickot-san's expression remained tense. Slimy insects. What kind of monster could it be? I'm seriously getting curious now. Well then, Rickot. What is it? Today, our main goal is to raise Maki's level, but I have another objective as well. That is, for you to overcome your fear of the slimy insects. Slimy? Glenn, so you knew all along that this was their habitat? Yeah, he knew. I mean, it looks like they're in the forest on the other side of the lake. I believe it's natural for everyone to have strengths and weaknesses, but those should be based on things like career paths or weapon choices. If you're avoiding something just because it grosses you out, well, that's not really ideal for a soldier. I know that. Excuse me, but while you're talking, I can see an incredibly grotesque slimy insect approaching us along the lakeside. I've heard it's considered disgraceful for a soldier to have a monster they're afraid of. Am I wrong? You're not wrong. I've been trying to overcome it. But when I see those things, my body just starts trembling. Rickot-san hasn't noticed because her back is to the lake. But Glenn, you can see it, right? Today, thanks to the opportunity Maki gave us, you can't afford to run away. After all, we've got someone to protect, don't we? Glenn, you set me up, didn't you? No, that's because my life is on the line here. And I didn't hear anything about this either. Now is the time for Rickot to overcome the slimy insects. It's not going to go the way you think. Kiaisha. Yup, seeing it up close really emphasizes just how grotesque it is. It has 6 legs and a spider-like appearance, with a semi-transparent, watery blue membrane covering its body. When it spreads its legs, it's about 3 meters wide, and it moves close to the ground. But its body stands about a meter tall. Is this thing really weaker than the bullfang? Take this. No, stay away. Rickot, you won't be able to defeat it like that. Shut up, Glenn. Wait, before we even get to that, didn't we come here to help me level up? If Rickot-san kills it, I won't get the experience points. Kisha. Huh? Why is it looking at me? It's so gross. Come on, Rickot. This slimy insect. Isn't it kind of docile? I don't know much about them, but it's tilting its head as if confused by the sword being swung in front of it. Maybe I can actually take this thing down? Why you bastard? Do it, Rickot. Wait, I need the experience points. Kiisha. Rickot stepped in, resolved, and brought her straight sword down in a mighty swing. Glenn clenched his fist tightly, cheering her on. I just wanted to stop her so I could kill the passive slimy insect myself. But my wish didn't come true, and Rickot-san's sword cleaved off the slimy insect's head with a single stroke. As its severed head fell to the ground with a thud, Glenn was the only one who ran off from the scene at full speed. Glenn? Maki, get away. You too, Rickot huffed. She's too worked up to even hear him. I approached Rickot-san to tap her on the shoulder, but, whoa. What's this? The ground's slippery. This is bad. What's bad? Rickot-san? No. The watery blue membrane that had covered the slimy insect's body suddenly expanded and spread out. So that's why it's called a slimy insect, because its membrane is all slimy and sticky. I can't stop slipping. You're going to pay for this. And so, Rickot-san and I were swept away by the sticky goo, separating us from Glenn.